Welcome on to the next of our videos. Today we are talking about the Comrades Marathon Bronze Medal, the sub 11 hour finish. What does it take to get yourself a bronze medal at the Comrades Marathon? We're going to be talking specifics about mileage as well as what it takes from an ability perspective. So how many kilometers, if you're chasing a bronze medal at Comrades, how many kilometers should you be running from the 1st of January right through to Comrades race day? We'll also be taking a look at the times you should be hitting for a 5, a 10, a 21 and a 42 to make sure that you can run a comfortable bronze medal. That's all coming up in today's video with the official Comrades Marathon coach, Lindsey. And also, don't forget, we've created a pretty extensive guide about what it takes to run a Comrades Bronze Medal. If you click on the link on the screen right now, or the link that's with this video, it'll take you through to that page. Also included in that page is probably one of the questions we get asked the most, is how many marathons and how many ultra marathons should I be running between January and Comrades if I want to get myself a bronze medal? If you click through now, it'll take you through to that page and you'll be able to check it out. Well, Lindsey, the video we did about the times and sort of mileage you need to do for the Vic Clapham medal at Comrades was very well received. So we thought we'd do one for the bronze, which is sub 11. And for a lot of people who've been around Comrades for a long time, they sort of discount the Vic Clapham, saying it doesn't really count because back in the day, sub 11 was a finish. But sub 11 of bronze is a great time for Comrades. Let's talk about the numbers. What do we need to do to get ourselves a bronze at Comrades? And first of all, who would be ideal sort of candidates for a bronze medal at Comrades? Is anyone capable of running bronze?
Look, I must, before I answer your question, Brad, say that the people who are disparaging about the Vic Clapham being a finish, I think there are two things we must always bear in mind. And the first is that the original Comrades was a 12-hour cutoff. So they claim to be traditionalists because there was a fairly long period in the history of Comrades where sub 11 was the cutoff, but the original Comrades was 12 hours. And secondly, it doesn't matter how disparaging you are about a sub 12-hour finish. When you're on the road and things aren't going quite according to plan, there are lots of people that make the conscious decision that they don't care what time they finish in as long as they actually finish. And that's really, for me, one of the things that I love about Comrades is that at some point in time, it doesn't matter what time you're going for, you are eventually broken down to I am just going to finish, and whether that's achieving your goal or being just outside of it doesn't matter, because the pride is there just for crossing the road. So in simple terms, the people who are capable of running a sub 11 hours are people who can run under 4.5 hours for a marathon. And obviously if you're new to running and you're setting your targets, we don't start with the marathon, we start down on the lower end. And so there are a couple of milestones that perhaps will tell you whether you've got the ability, or if you're just outside of those times, you can still aim for a bronze, but you just need to understand where you need to get to if you realistically have a chance of a bronze. And we'll start down on the shorter end, which is 5Ks, and you need to be around about 27 minutes or close to 27 minutes on a 5K, sub 1 hour, 57 minutes on a 10K, 2:05-ish on a 21, and as I said earlier, under 4.5 hours for a marathon.
Lindsey, and as we said with the Vic Clapham guys, if you are slightly out on one or two of those distances, it's not going to dictate whether you are out and out, can't run that sort of marathon. But one thing you do need to be wary of if you are slightly outside of those paces is that you're not smashing all your training runs as hard as you can to try and get faster in the build-up to Comrades.
Yeah, you really need to stick to the recommended paces on the training program. And if you are basically busting your chops to get into those training zones, that's a pretty good clue that the bronze is probably a stretch for you and that you should be following the Vic Clapham. And I know it's counterintuitive, but if you are pushing yourself too hard to get into the bronze paces because that's what you're desperate to run, you're actually probably going to do worse than if you just pull back, drop down into the Vic Clapham program and ran at the appropriate paces, because you literally are stimulating the wrong energy system for a 90-kilometer race if you are finding yourself pushing in training every single day.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about that, there's a link up on the screen right now about running slower to run faster. That'll really explain that concept in a lot more detail. And then, Lindsey, let's talk about mileage. A lot of runners get sort of really caught up about how many kilometers you need to do from January right through to Comrades. If you're aiming for a sub-11 finish at Comrades, a bronze medal, how many kilometers range-wise, what should you be ballpark from the 1st of January through to Comrades race day?
Yeah, look, Brad, that's a great question, because particularly people that have been running Comrades for a couple of years, they do kind of get caught up in trying to run more kilometers. And of course, they've got the experience and their bodies are a little more hardy than people who haven't run as many Comrades. And funnily enough, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got people that have run so many Comrades, been running for so many years. And just because that's what they know and that's what they've always done, they don't realize that as we get older, our recovery starts to get a little bit compromised, and actually by running a little bit less, they will in fact run better. And I think it's important then to just take stock and have a look at it. And what we're looking at for a bronze medal is somewhere close to the 1,000 kilometers from January to race day, and that would be kind of 950-ish to 1,100-ish, which when we work that out, comes to about 50 to 55 Ks per week. Now we know that we're not going to run 50 to 55 Ks per week all the way through. You're probably going to run a little bit less January, February, and you're going to end up in, say, the 65 to 70 K bracket through your peak training. But when we break it down and average it out, you're looking at roughly 55 Ks a week, and it takes you to close to 1,100 Ks.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you don't want to miss out on any of our videos, make sure you click the subscribe button over here. You can watch our latest video over here, and be sure to check out one of our most popular videos over here. And then also, if you want to catch up and grab one of our free strength training programs, all you need to do is click over here.